We're there, baby. Sun is out. We're looking at a wonderful sacred spot. I like to stay on the trail. This comes in there so people are not going to readily see me. They will, but. Oh, this is it. This is where it's at. Yeah. I've made good time today. I've used everything to my advantage, so now I can sort of slow down. I've got time to enjoy the sun. I'm halfway back to where I need to be, and the sun's got easily 3 more hours in the sky in my favor. So I don't imagine it's more than between 1 and 2 o'clock. So I'll probably just be pulling into the park as it's getting darker. So really good, 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 good. And on another note, I'm gonna put this camera somewhere, possibly in this tuft of grass. Technically, it's hidden, but officially, I know exactly where it is. If you see a bear coming up behind me, let me know. Oh, woo! If only I could dry my socks. Thing is, I have an excellent waterproof pair of shoes I could have brought with me with spare socks. Not a problem, but I forgot 3 days in a row. At least I don't have to carry them with me. And my feet are the least of my worries. As long as my hands are warm, my body's dry, that's pretty good. Gonna smoke. I feel like my dog is teaching me how to be an old man. He's such a graceful old man. We work well together. My mom and I and the dog, we're like a tightly knit family. Kind people probably think I'm mentally ill, and smart people would know that I'm just really intelligent. Psychiatrically inclined people would probably dispatch me quite quickly as some kind of lifestyle idealist, some hopelessly ensnared infantile man child who hasn't overcome any of the basic challenges of adulthood and probably hasn't even tried. Mounting a woman and a workplace in tidy synchronization that makes the gnomes in Uruk happy. Hence the cynicism rolled into the wisdom and the seminal fluid of my lethargus, which expands on the largesse of my phallic organs. That's right, organs, plural. I have many penises. And notice there's gods with multiple nipples, but never multiple penises. You know, for half penis. Her half penis. So, I mean, your happiness is half your penis. Break the penis in half. Give me happiness. Another language, it's her penis. Give me happiness any day over my penis. Give me happiness over my penis. The secret to happiness is to get rid of your penis. Your penis is like a disease. Happiness is the answer to all man's problems. Man's penis is bad. Happiness is good. It's a conspiracy. See, happiness is good, which suggests that her penis is better than mine. Time is epiphanic. That's why it emits backwards. The sun shines from the past and the future. Do you have a message for yourself? Send it through the sun. Say, happy sun, oh happy sun, I would hear the signals that tell me of that kingdom come. Straight from my heart to the magic of darkness itself that is my first mother, that is the strength and length of my mother's and father's very being, measured out in all the happiness of the world. How many complex factors there must be, or that we see that there are, to the conditions of human life, diminutive as they are, and superlative and overwhelming as they are. Little and small, our minds do 90% of their work dealing with life. The rest of the 10% is actually working and everything else. So we're bringing like 80 to 90% of a workload that we can't even talk about. And you're supposed to think that art and the poetry of Gwyneth Paltrow somehow makes up for it. Silk is something that you can really throw on a pig, especially if you're vegetarian. Silk on a pig. So I was told that rich people don't use regular toilet paper. They use a very fine silk to wipe their asses. That's pretty cool, eh? They make you feel guilty for wiping your ass with sandpaper made out of and starched and whitened with chlorine, poisoning yourself with every wipe. While they, guilt-free, use silk every day of their life, woven by slave children. And such are the inequities of the world. So I don't feel guilty wiping my ass with sandpaper. I'd rather wipe it with moss from the forest, the pages from the Holy Bible. A deep fear runs through my life. Maybe a deep denial, I don't know. I had so much denial and so much fear and so much psychosis. I've seen the lighter side too, like today. Um, I wouldn't go back to any other day, except maybe it's strange, numbered. To me, are the days of the long life of my mother and father. If they grieved me at all, which they did, they grieved me because I wanted more. I wanted more. I got a severe case of colic, you know, by the age of 18. I really didn't, I really needed more. And what's more, that the schooling that I'd been subjected to, public school, which I probably would have on any given day told you that I loved, had a very effect on my life, because it wasn't that I was so antisocial, but that it had deprived me of viable social connection with others. And as much as my siblings had been denied that, and we had been denied that from each other, and our family was kind of scapegoated for it. So we didn't. I was very displeased with the end of my childhood, and which started by the end of my older brother's childhood, and my younger siblings seemed extremely well prepared for the end of their childhood, and as much as their home worked for them, it was a home they could work out of, where I had my home to do my work. They could work from in the home, and so we were, you know, I was older than them, but I was not welcome in the home. And whatever I thought was a useful way to spend my time, now that I'd completed my schooling and done everything I was supposed to do, was considered a mental illness. And I read, and my life was dead, I think, for a lot of years. Boring. I spent a lot of days literally staring out of the window. 19, 20, 21, 22. Staring out of the window. Or at least 19 and 20 and 21. And then I got a job at a fast food restaurant. And during that time, my life at home changed. It was already not good. It got even worse. It was becoming clear, although it was overwhelmingly unclear at the time, that as time went on, my safety and my home were disappearing, just like the brother and sister of Michael J. Fox in Back to the Future, except they were permanently disappearing. It almost like that movie had presaged. I'm not very aware of anything about my siblings' lives. I get older, so that's going. I don't even know what they're feeling. I don't know what's going on for them in life at all. So we're basically walled off from each other. I'm cherishing an hour or two for lunch with my mother from time to time, where you barely say anything, you just eat and just enjoy the experience while it lasts. I always enjoyed the company of my mom when she would come and visit. But my home was my home. As uncomfortable as it was, I clung to it because it was all I knew as an animal. And I thank you, and I'm gladdened that I could talk about it. I think it's fair. I'm alive at the time, relatively healthy physically. Um, I, I still continue to suffer from acne. I would say the home is domestically abusive. As much as safety and home are going away, this process or this story is being punctuated by violence, humiliating violence, physically debilitating violence. And in fact, it gets worse when I'm living in my own place. It becomes magnified when I'm rooming with my brother, and it becomes even worse and worse and worse. And to learn what these types of forces and these people, where they are now, they're operating like, they have no questions about behaving towards you as though you are nothing but a threat to them, being as maximum a threat to you. While you're being accused of all kinds of things, from schizophrenia to criminality, the evidence is actually pointing completely to the opposite. The only one who has to be hospitalized is you. The only one who is getting physically injured is you. The only one who's actually having anything stolen from them is you. The only one whose life is put in considerable danger is you. And the only one actually using their words to say, please stop, just, can you just stop this, is you. The one least economically privileged is you. The only person who likes to write poetry and who's 150 being wet is you. It's, it's hard for me. What for them was a day of the week, it's nothing to them. It's nothing to the people who did this. It's nothing to them. It's nothing. And it changed your whole life. And it should have. It should have changed your life. It should change your life. It is a lot to take in. And at that point, I said to myself, my body said to itself, Landon, you're on a different course in life. And you're hurt, yes, but you've gotten here by being honest and true to yourself and to the real spirit of family. But it's just that this world is sick and your family is sick. And it might be for the best to say that they've made you sick. And they've projected upon you such a sickness that they have found it justifiable to treat you in an extremely violent way that eliminates you as a person. So you get to the order of attempted murder, you get to the order of rape, and sexual abuse, and domestic abuse, and violence, and in ways that you might struggle the rest of your life to name any number of people that you know or care about or should care about have instituted a range of permanently violent messages about what you can expect if your voice, groundhog, should peep out of the ground and say, "Is it safe now?" Them, you would have to live in a straitjacket. And you'd already tried that and you didn't like it. Because the strange thing is, it doesn't make you any safer. And it doesn't make them any safer from you. And I would say to my, the way you guys run relationship, just so you know, I couldn't know these people because neither one of us would ever be safe by the very conditions that seems to be demanded. In fairness to my predator, essentially. Do you think the man who can say such things, do you think that that man or this man deserves a certain respect? Do you think that my intelligence or my body deserves to be abused or broken or shattered or shocked beyond all common comprehension? Do you think I exaggerate? Do you think people go through far worse and don't complain nearly as much as I do? And what I would say to that is everyone has the total prerogative, as much as you feel you have any freedom at all, to deal with anything the way they want. I'm not here to judge the way people deal with things. Please don't distract the victims of violent crime by judging me simply because I say certain things out loud. There have been times in what violent ways predators, human in the role of predator, which I'm sure nobody wants to be, and we need to understand how that happens. We're very uncomfortable hearing about the impact of what they've done to others. And I used to make the mistake of trying to be logical and say, if you're uncomfortable hearing about it, imagine what it's like having to really go through it. This isn't a video game. And I'm a squeamish person. I feel like I don't like the sight of blood, so I couldn't be a medical doctor. But in fairness to which, I look at a lot that people don't like to look at. So I think it balances out. To take a moment to honor the viewer, no doubt you can hear the unrest, the many weary miles, anger, sadness, bitterness. Nothing so enlightening about the content to mitigate for very likely overall negative effect in even having to listen to it. Is to suggest that if I were going to talk about such things, say in public, I kind of owed it to my audience to find something positive. Well, the positive thing is right in front of you. I'm alive. These things kill people. People die. They die of disease. diseases, certain kinds of diseases, and then they go to a doctor and they get worse diseases. That's what a lot of domestic abuse victims often end up with cancer and chemotherapy. They start off with nervous complaints, digestive disorders. Next thing you know, they're dead. It's not a pleasant subject, but it's a way you can avoid getting dead. If you're being domestically abused and you've had accidents or chronic illness, well, I don't have to tell you what to do, but I can commiserate with you on the difficulty of the types of decisions you have to make. But just knowing that abuse can make you sick and correlating it with a bad attitude or being treated that exists around you, possibly related to alcohol or drugs or any kinds of mental problems that people can at least honestly seem to have and distribute. They say pain loves company, misery loves company. Well, so does psychosis, depending on where you stand in the food chain. And if we all understood the fundamental conditions of human beings, we really could be more compassionate and understanding. It'd be a relief. I'd be willing to pay with my life if we could just understand more, at the very least, how certain kinds of conditions can turn people, unfortunately, honestly, into predators of each other. But I don't want to give my life. And I certainly don't want to give my life and have nobody learn anything from it. I have come near to death from domestic abuse. I've succeeded at something that nobody really talks about. I paid my dues. Do you think I feel arrogant? No. I feel more humble than I ever been in life and more terrified because the number of things that I find indicators have only grown. That's why I like to keep the police away from me. Every day that goes by, I count the days when I don't even hear the police. Not even on television. It's like to live in a world without them. They terrify me. I've had enough women prey on me that that in itself makes it more likely one day that the police are going to prey on me because they're very female related. If you find women prey on you, there's a good chance that police will probably pick on you too. I can't tell you why, but I've seen that. Law enforcement is very female oriented. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But, male and female can be misused. They have a kind of predatory shadow. We're familiar with thinking of the world where there's too much or toxic male energy. Like the idea that there's energy, it's basically toxic. Well, it's the same thing with female energy. If there's a estrogen or estrogen-leaning components, like the color blue, right? Like the police, winter, cold, darkness, death, black magic, the lowering of inhibitions to execute often very cold agendas. You might think, well, people who have to be cold, like the words of law enforcement, cut like a knife, the way a surgeon cuts like a knife, to cut the crime out of the world. Only that were true, right? So a woman's scorn cuts like a knife. I stay away from women. Women, white women, are dangerous. They are the most dangerous animal I ever come across. water today. Let's do this. I thought that was an otter. That's female medicine. I think I'm honoring the feminine. It's not about women. It's just in the sense, just like these two energies, essentially on the earth. We want them to work together in all things. So we all have the right of cynicism as to how that balance is being achieved. The word balance has got the word bao, which basically means death, which incidentally also means the soul, which is the Yule of the soul. So in a sense, balance is putting a pall on the sun. And so the idea of justice being blind and balance, right, is because the sun itself has been blinded. You have to have no judgment to believe in justice the way it is meted out. The criminal justice system really is quite an honest name. But as with, feminine injustices, you'd have to be very careful about what you are calling criminal, because, in a sense, in the words of justice, justice can't be criminal. The law can't be unlawful. What is legal cannot be illegal, right? The owners of the word of God cannot, in Romans 3 or 10, quote, be unfaithful. They cannot be wrong from the perspective of what is absolute and supreme.